Hey, peace and blessings, family. Happy the day after the election. For a lot of people, they're feeling relieved now. They're feeling like they can breathe again. What's that song was out? That song used to be out like, I can't breathe and again, or now I can breathe again, or something.
Right.
Good Lord. Yeah, my goodness. So we know it ain't really over, but it's just the anticipation. Like, we could be done with that. So I am joined tonight, family, as we have this really good discussion. You know what? I turn to the side of this computer here because I'm doing some engineering. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about our local races and some of the stuff, the state propositions and some other things, and to get you all's feedback. Because I think in Sacramento, we've had some upsets. I feel like the city has come alive. Because usually people do stuff in the city and then who you know, but it feels like something like it's like people woke up and went and go voted. Like it was not the same old 10 people at the polls, or like 250 people, and we all going to have drinks or whatever. No,
Right.
So people showed up. So I have with me Sister Kelly, Sister Janine, and Brother Michael. So we are going to get into this, but before we get started, I want you to introduce yourself and tell me what part of the city are you all in?
Well, I'm Kelly Cooper, and I'm in District 2. District 2 is Del Paso Heights, Robla, Ben Ali, Hagenwood, south of Hagenwood, Noralto, Swanston Estates. My family came here in 1952. We're all Pacer natives. That's our alma mater. I got into the political world in 2012 when my first campaign was with Alan Warren. Funny but true. But I turned to New Leaf with him. Our community has went 8 years backwards. So now I got to stay involved, stay connected, and it's a whole lot of work to do. So I'm glad that I'm here, and Rolanda's always staying connected with me because we have a whole lot of work to do in each of our communities, not just mine. So I'm excited, and I want to hear from the community and what you guys are on the panel, where y'all from and what y'all got going on.
Right on. All right. Who's going next?
I can go.
Oh, but I always let ladies first. Ladies first. No.
Thank you, Michael. Such a gentleman.
So my name's Janine. I'm in District 8. So it was like wild over here these last few months. So I live, I'm born and raised in South Sac. I always tell people like I can't live anywhere else besides South Sac. Like I go to North Sac and I'm like, whoa, I don't know these people. This is a whole nother city. Like, what is this? Yeah, because even after I left for college, moved back, I'm in a nice little spot where my sister lives down the street, my aunt lives down the other street, my grandma's a mile from there, my great aunt used to live this way, so I'm just through and through South Sac. Even though I didn't go to Burbank, I went to McClatchy, but everyone else in my family went to Burbank. Yeah, and so super excited. This election was wild. We had the city council race, we had the school board race, so pretty wild. And then I work at the Sacramento Native American Health Center, so we actually did a lot of work registering our patients, making sure they were registered, making sure the Native community was registered. So we were working with some national groups to just make sure that people knew what was going on and were able to register, especially people. We had one lady who was no longer on parole, but she thought this whole time that she couldn't vote. And so even though she's like had done her time, wasn't on parole, no issues, and she was like, wow, I could have been voting for like 12 years and nobody told me. So we were able to get her registered and have her vote this year. So
right on. What about you, Brother Michael?
That's what's up. Well, thank you first and foremost for having me. I'm representing that I'm representing that good old District 5, Oak Park, and District 6 kind of sort of, because I got turned down for a redistricting commission because I had something to say about that, the way these lines are drawn. But needless to say, I'm District 5, and so I don't know if you know, but we've gone through a mass gentrification, super mass gentrification, and it continues to kind of grow in that direction. And so trying different indigenous ways to grow the indigenous community here, right? To have people understand that, one of the reasons you want to move here is because it's cool, but who made it cool, right? And why those people are being asked to leave now. So recently, a part of the Stockton Boulevard Business Project. So we're trying to kind of look and see how we can recreate that space to make it a little more viable and sustainable and attractive to people, so they'll start coming to Stockton Boulevard. Also working with to make sure that I leverage the community with this Aggie Square project that's coming, right? $1 billion project with UC Davidson. So I'm just trying to make sure that our voice is represented, in terms of you can't just move in and put up stuff and not serve the community that's already been there. I'm not having that. So and so I got into politics. Well, as a youngster, I got into politics. My mother and father are community advocates, but I really got in. I had the opportunity to attend Howard University and live in DC for 12 years. So I got to see politics at a kind of a bird's eye view level, both locally and nationally, being close to it. So it's a love I have, to represent the people the right way.
Right on. So y'all, look, we got a lot of stuff to talk about up in here. So what I'm attempting to do on this side over here, I'm going to share the screen. You see how this is going to work. Okay, there we go. So we got a lot of stuff. I can control it over here much, but I feel like those people that's been showing us, like, this is how many states you got, and then, touching the screen, Lord God. Okay, so we're going to start with, I think we should look at some of the local measures first. What y'all think?
The measures are very important.
So too.
All right, I'm gonna hit that.
Mm-hmm.
So how are y'all feeling about the local measure? So we know we had measure, what do we got up here? See, Sacramento, accountability. Isn't that measure A right there?
Yeah, the strong mayor.
Strong mayor.
That is.
Strong mayor. Well, or mayor's accountability.
Yeah.
So right now they haven't necessarily called it, but it looked like it's not going to pull through. How did y'all feel about that measure in the first place?
Well, for me, measure A was a total disrespect that you can even try to push that on the ballot with someone that's so wobbly and untrustworthy to get this much power. You must be insane and deranged, because Darrell Steinberg, I wouldn't trust him with a penny if they told me it was free for him. He hasn't made one good call since he has sat on that die. If we have you, we won't need the city council, and we need the city council to self-represent each district. You don't know each district and their needs and what's sustaining them in their district. So for me, I couldn't believe he tried it, but E for effort.
I just think that, especially with this one, like, I get the idea of it. Like, even when Kevin Johnson had brought it up years ago, the fact that the mayor is nominated by the whole city, but they are only one vote. Like, I understand why they would feel that way, but it just always feels really gross when it comes up. Like, it feels like a power grab. And I think if the measure came from the people saying that they want this, no matter who's in power, then I think that would be different. But I think we are especially seeing now on a federal level, like, when people start getting all this power, and it's fine when your guy's doing it, but then when your guy's out and you have this guy you hate and they have all this power, then what do you do? So I think if it came from the people, that might feel a little bit better, but also felt shady to me because we have a lot of more progressive candidates coming onto the city council, and now, you're trying to consolidate power, and it felt gross to me.
Right.
So before I give my answer, I'm just give a small brief history. So it's two ways cities are ran, right? Either a city management government or a strong mayor, right? City management government, we have 8 council districts, and then the mayor acts as kind of a ninth city council person, if you will, right? The tiebreaker, if you will, 5-4, whatever it is. The city management, form of government, obviously we have a city manager, who is appointed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's how I feel. I personally feel, it's funny because I'll tell you guys a story. I sat on a debate panel with former Mayor Heather Fargo and the president of the League of Women Voters about when Kevin Johnson had just got into office. And mind you, Kevin pushed for strong mayor like a week into being elected. And so it was like a weekend, and he did it 4 times at $145,000 each time, and that's $600,000, which could have went to serve the community. But let me say this. The people of Sacramento, and their argument for this, strong mayor's argument always is things like, well, any city this size has strong mayor, decisions aren't able to be made with the speed they need to be made, or this, that, and the other. Here's how I feel about it. Listen, if you're an elected official, you should be able to go to your city council districts, right? And persuade them or talk to them about, why you feel a certain way and get whatever you need to get passed. I think that what happens is, it's funny that it's called the accountability, because the accountability should be on you going and lobbying in those different districts and having them side with you if that's what you choose to be. But what happens is that in this argument, I always tell people this is the city of trees and not the city of tree, right? This ain't the city of one tree. This is the city of trees, and the trees want to speak. The trees all have something they want to say, and I think that like Janine was saying, was, look, we got some new people coming on, and so how fair is that for them to come in under a strong mayor type government and then not have the ability to make have a vote that counts towards a whole, and so that's how I feel about it. I feel like if you are in fact a strong mayor, hey, go to those city council districts and do what you need to do. So
right on. Okay, so let's go up to Measure B. So this was amending the city charter. Okay, and this looked like it's going to pass. This looked like it's going to pass. Is that
right.
a good thing? What was y'all feeling about that? The city charter. Amending it.
I either way didn't matter to me.
So,
I was pretty
okay
with it either way. I was fine with it. That was more down the margin for me than more at the top. So I was okay with it.
Okay.
I feel like this was one of the ones.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like this is one of the ones that I used the BWAPA and the Sacramento Sisters Circle to help me with this one, because I actually don't remember this one at all now. So.
Yeah.
All right, my brother Michael Benjamin gonna give us some history. What now?
A little bit, yeah. So I was kind of neutral on this, and the reason why is because I feel like I always feel like change, right? If we offer the city charter to be amended and changed now, then it can also be changed down the line. You know what I mean? And it needs to be changed. The reality of Sacramento is that the police department was chartered before the city, right? So this is a city, this is a police city, realistically. And so it needs to be amended. I'm going to have to look in to see exactly what they're trying to amend, but I believe that it is just voting on whether or not it can be amended, So
I don't know, but they talk about moving stuff around. You got to be at the table, because you look up and they amended you out. You just got to be careful with these people. Like redistricting.
I agree.
It's an awesome idea until you start to see the streets and how they cutting people out of stuff. Okay, Measure C, rent control. Woo! Thoughts, family. Woo! Thoughts. This rent control. Was it good? Was it not good? Highest hell is the rent is in Sacramento. You thought we live in San Francisco. Well, go ahead.
The rent control. The rent here is. Go ahead.
No, please.
For me, the rent control is totally overrated. What I mean by that is something that seems that could be $850, $900, you're charging almost $1,900 to $2,000,
Mhm.
and the wages are not matching the rent, and there's no balance here. So basically, you're doing just, I think what Michael said, you're showing gentrification. You're showing that you're going to kick the people out that are not meeting the annual or monthly income. And so now they're going to be one of the high risk families that's going to be sleeping in their car or tent city or wherever they can just lay their heads. That's so, once again, so disheartening. And back to, I believe Michael had said, the city council, you go and you preach, you cry, you beg, and they just look at you like you are a dummy and you are speaking a whole nother language. And so now it's very sad that people are now becoming very homeless. And I know in D2, gentrification has now risen. In 2012, we had 16,000 African American families in our district, and now we're down to about 1,600 Blacks, and we're probably a little bit under that right now. We took an immediate hit, a big hit. So it's sad that our people that I went to school with and their families, they're now sleeping on the outside of the houses that they used to live in because they just can't afford the taxes. They just can't afford the rent any longer.
Wow. Anybody else want to chime in on that measure? See, I think that's why I was shocked in District 8, the gentleman that was running. First, he was for it, and then he got some money from the Realtors Association, and then he was against it. And this is a man of God who feeds homeless people turkeys and gives them toilet tissue, and you don't want them to have a place to sleep? See, that kind of crap. Like, come on, rent control, bro. This should be a no-brainer.
No brainer.
Right.
We know housing is a major issue. I mean, it's major. We got issues for real. Like,
but I'm just wondering, do they turn the temperature up outside on the concrete? Do you have like a heater that you can turn up outside on the street, or air conditioner to keep? Like, I'm just trying to figure out where are these glass houses that they see that people can live in. Like, it's unethical to me.
I think people like to have more poor people so they can keep their jobs and their grants coming. So if you're poor, you're gonna ensure work. My soup kitchen's gonna feed more people.
So, right, true.
What was you gonna say, Mike?
Oh man, I got so much to say. So it's weird. This is a weird. So actually, I don't know if you all know, but Measure A and Measure C are really married, and unfortunately for a couple of people who are running for office, it's gonna make them lose. And so the District 2, Alan Warren, he against rent control, right?
What?
But at the same time against strong mayor. Oh yeah, because him and City Councilman Hanson, they believe that if you have rent control, then you'll scare off developers who want to come in and build. And we're seeing this, and I'm gonna tell you, we're seeing this. It's a picture. If you ever want to drive by this picture of not supporting rent control, just go to CV Circle in New Havisha, where 750 families are about to be displaced because a developer came in and now it's going to develop that piece of property. This is something that, think about this. You have these real tech people who are making really good money, right? Sacramento is down the freeway, okay? They come, they buy these homes, they rent these homes out. They're rental homes. They bring a lot of money. And so rent control, a lot of these city council men and women think that this is what will scare them from coming here and developing. And so some people are against it. And, but it's weird. The two are married because what we're seeing is a split in Sacramento, which is people are anti strong mayor, but for rent control or against rent control as well. So it's really weird how this panned out. I think the Realtors Association of Sacramento, they put $67,000 into this anti-rent control, right? And you put that pot of money out there and people jump at it, and so what happens now is for a incumbent, for someone who's been there, who's against rent control, what you do is someone in District 8, like you look and you say, okay, well, where is this development, right, Kelly? Like, where is this low income housing that's supposed to be, and when you don't see that, another person comes in and they say, hey, we don't like this going in.
Well, the
and make
bad
that
thing
change.
for
So
us,
that's where we're at with that.
the bad thing for us, Michael, that we have that a lot of District 8 may not have in 5, our representative was a developer. That's what his trade was.
Right.
And see, the thing with him was old people, seniors, they're very smart people. And the wise woman told me, I don't know why you guys are going to vote him in, because he's coming in as a developer, as a Republican. He's not going to come in to help and nurture and save and do all that. That's not his motive. And sure enough, 8 years later, look where we're at. He owns more property that he did in 2012. He owns almost all the boulevard, all of that. So that's what's making it more disheartening, because you basically run amok around the old people and the families here in District 2. So you're a developer, and developers are thinking development. What can I buy? What can I build up? And so when the Promise Zone money came in 2016 with Obama, it was supposed to help the families that was in crisis with their
Yes.
taxes or whatever. And he didn't do that. He sat in his pockets of his goon squad, and then they got blessed. But you forgot about the 20,000 people that was still across the district that was losing everything in the blink of an eye.
Wow.
Preach.
I mean, I was actually shocked that I thought it was going to pass. I'm wondering, like, who voted for this, or who voted? Like, it was just shocking to me, because I feel like everyone can agree that the rent is really high here. And it's also weird because the way they made it sound was like, okay, if we pass this, then people can't set rents, like everything's going to go down, all these developers are going to lose money. And it's like, it's not like that. You still will set what your rent is, you just can't price people out. So that just felt really weird to me, that people were against it in such high numbers. I feel like, and maybe I just don't know a lot of people, but I know a lot of renters, and I felt like everyone was going to come together and say, no, this is getting out of hand. I was just on a call with the SAC housing, because it's not called Section 8 anymore, but whatever it's called now. And because we're looking at renting out our house, and I was like, okay, well, we can do Section 8. And they said there's like 800 families who have vouchers who can't get housing. And that's just right now. And so just picturing in the future what that's going to look like. So that's just ridiculous to me that we didn't all come together to say, hey, we have to do something to keep people in their homes.
Wow.
Yeah, I think like Sister Rose said, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. Like, how do you not vote to keep people in there? I don't get that part. But,
Well, it's a no-brainer for the people who are poor and who have heart and think about their fellow man or woman. But if you're a greedy, sap-sucking fool, it's kind of like how San Francisco got to be San Francisco, and why there are hardly any black people owning any property in San Francisco, or anybody else for that matter, unless you're, got some money, you got a big tech job or something like that. So I think we got to really help poor people and struggling people and middle class, whatever we call ourselves this decade, to be involved in this process, because I don't understand how something like that does not pass when you're watching families struggle to pay rent that are more expensive than the house note. So
but I guess the problem that bothers me, Rolanda, I guess for me, with my grandmother living on a tight income, and even though my parents worked all of their lives and they were working people, the disheartening is when it was a two-parent home. It's a little bit more easy then, right? But a two-parent home is like one income. You just can't sustain it. You just can't. Somebody's gonna be rich. You're robbing Peter to feed Paul.
Yep.
And the whole thing, thinking about people that are in leadership, that tells me that God is out of this equation. They're not even thinking about God. They're not thinking about the biblical principles. You're not thinking about self principles that we were raised on, and that's to love that way, to help people. Where did all that go? It's all about just what can I do together. But why won't we help each other? and raise each other off the village. It took a village to raise kids. Where are those principles? We don't have that anymore.
Right on.
And-
I get you. It's like this next to state proposition. One that will look like it's going to pass is the bond measure to continue to fund STEM research initiative, which most of that stuff they get from us, but don't want to pay us for our genes or our genius. But then they're going to not give money, funding sources for public schools and community colleges and local government services. Like, you won't pay for some stuff that we don't know what's going to work instead of investing in something you know can lift you out of poverty, which is education. Like, that's crazy. I mean, here, these two are up on here right now.
Once again, we're chasing. We're not looking at normal. We're so admirable. This is crazy. I mean, stem cells, I respect that help us learn, but don't keep gambling on me. Don't keep gambling on me. I don't want to sit here and be a guinea pig. I just.
Right.
Y'all.
I think that what happens is, for me, when I look at this, when I look at Proposition 14, the question becomes for me is, what have you done? What have you done with the past monies? Like what research has come out of the past monies, right? Like, give me something that's been developed out of that. You want to continue this funding. It's like, well, what's coming out of that? And like Sister Rose said, they're tapping into our DNA. That's why it's funny. You see these dialysis centers pop up in our neighborhoods, right? You see these dialysis centers pop up. You see these. They, believe you me, they're doing a little bit more than dialysis in it. They're taking bone marrow and all kind of stuff to develop, different types of things. And so again, my question becomes, we're going to continue to fund this, but at what level is the research being done, reported out? What's coming from this, right? And that's my question. It becomes a social justice. It becomes a social justice question because they don't have those same dialysis centers in rich areas. You don't have them, right? So you're going in and you're giving a pint of blood for $50, right, and a cookie. And it's like, where is that going? What is that being used for? And those are the questions that I have behind Proposition 14.
That's kind of deep, though. And I
want to piggyback a little bit on Michael on that part. Right. It's so funny that the things that service sick people, it's only where we have the most high blood pressure, the most sickest community. We got more dialysis centers here. We got all the cannabis here for the people that have all the medical issues. But I can drive to Fulton and El Dorado and won't see none of that.
Right on.
None of it. I'm like, we sick, but we're not disabled, we're not handicapped, we're not retarded. Why do we have to get the homeless, the alcohol, the drugs, the cannabis, and we got to get the dialysis center? You ripping us too many ways.
And you don't get to own none of it.
That's another.
Like the cannabis. We know that's been an underground economy in the Black community. I'm talking about the marijuana or weed or ganja, whatever you want to call it. We know that was an underground economy for some Black people. Now it's legal, and is there anybody Black that owns a cannabis spot?
I think it's one guy in our district. He has a delivery service, but for the most part, no. Well, we're saturated. We have 12 in our district. We're the highest over the city.
12?
We have 12. We're saturated here.
And that's
our
what,
administration said if he would have won, he was going to make our district the new Amsterdam. So.
And that's what the candidate Lolo Lee that's running in District 2 against Alan Warren. That's one of his points of running. Is that
that's why we endorsed him, and that's why 6 community associations got behind him. We have enough 1625 to stop pushed us to go up in front of the council once again, and the commissioner said no, it's too much, no. So he takes the power from the commissioner, pushes it up to the council so they can vote on it. They were supposed to have voted yesterday, but they didn't happen.
So hold on, y'all. This is good because hold on to those candidates. We're getting our way there. Let's look at Proposition 16 to 17. This it look like it's not going to pass. This allows diversity as a factor in public employment, education, and contract decisions. So you mean to tell me we done with racism? We done with everybody get their stuff equally?
Yeah, right.
Ward Connerly popped out of nowhere again to mess
Right.
things up. Haven't seen him
Right.
in forever. Now
Wait,
he's
who?
all over the
Who?
place.
Right.
Ward
Ward
Connerly,
Connerly.
the one who did the, what was it, Prop 187 or whatever it was.
I think they got him in the
Uh-huh.
freezer. I think they got him in the freezer. They just throw him out every couple of years when this come up.
But I haven't seen him in forever. He just pops out of nowhere like, oh, what did he say? Like white people were going to leave the UC system because of this or whatever. I don't know. Forget that man.
That's deep.
Yeah. So historically, this is crazy because this is a retort and this is a response to a 1996 bill, I believe it was, Proposition 209, which wrote in guarantees, right, for equitable hiring. That was mostly for equitable hiring and discrimination, excuse me, in terms of, funny because the UC system is still 2% Black. It's still 2% Black. So where is the discrimination coming from? Like, where is the advantage coming from, right? So this proposition is a proposition to undo 209. And so UC Regents and educational and institutions, what they do is the UCs look at it like this. They can take that 2% of African Americans that are in the UC system, save those spots for students who want to study from out of the country and charge them double, triple the price. You see what I'm saying? So you still go to UCLA, you still go to USC, you still go to, USC is not you go to UCLA or UC Irvine or wherever. The 2% that you see are the brothers on the basketball team, football team, the sisters on the volleyball team. So it's ironic that they would reverse Proposition 209, which has guarantees that, equitable programs will exist. I mean, we need our EOPS programs. We need our first generation educational programs, right? For students who are first generation college students to get some advanced placement inside these institutions. And I guarantee this is backed by, and I'm gonna look it up, it's backed by the UC Regents. I guarantee it. Because it's just the way they see it. What this also does is this also guarantees that the community college will always have an active audience, right? Because you can't get in these UC systems. So now you will have to go to community college, which has become a transfer for rich kids. That's what community colleges are now. They've cut a lot of the remedial courses, a lot of the courses that, people who wanted to come back to school would take. They've cut those and instead made a lot of those courses entry-level courses to get into the UC system. So this is what this is about. This is about a blockage, right? What scares me most is that this also was tied to fair hiring practices as well. And so we don't know where that's gonna kind of fall in this proposition.
Wow.
Interesting.
What about Prop 17? Well, at least the people who completed their prison sentences get their vote restored. Look like that's going to pass.
I'm the biggest prison reform activist type person. So for me, I always feel that their rights and their voice is just important. It's a wicked system that they say that their voice should be heard because of the punishment. When did we start being the jury and the judge for everything? For every parts and walks of their life? I mean, they have feelings, they have visions that they see through a different lens. And I feel that they should be just as well re-entered back into society slowly but surely. But there's still humans that have warm blood in their system that should still have a right to cast a ballot.
Right on. Janine, you sound perfect over here.
I had said I was getting a feedback echo, but I'm hearing it from Michael and Kelly when they're talking. I'm getting an echo.
Because I don't hear any of that.
Are you? Okay,
Do you have
hold on. Let me.
It's just me.
Or if you have like another computer and the volume's up on it, and even though you're not playing it sometimes it does that. Like I did that earlier when Kelly first signed in. I had that other computer. I had to mute that. sometimes that happens too. So
I think. Oh, Jenny, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, I just think with this one, to me, this was another no-brainer. I mean, if people are out of prison, we don't have tests that we do. I mean, there's plenty of idiots who we let vote who I'm questioning, and they're not, from prison. Like, we let everybody vote. So if someone's finished their time, they have the right to vote. That one was really a no-brainer for me.
what about you, Michael?
I agree. It's funny because they vote while they're in prison. They just don't know because they all count under the warden's vote. So the warden of that prison, he gets, if it's 5,000 inmates, right, in that county, whoever's in that section, he gets their vote. So and usually those prisons are built in Republican areas, and so he's placing one vote, but it's really 5,000 votes. So anyway, I think that what happens is that a lot of brothers are in jail or in prison for crimes of poverty, right? So they've been selling dope or things like that. And so what happens is that after they finish their sentence, they should be able to come out and vote. They should be able to come out and vote. I don't think that that's an indicator. Being incarcerated is an indicator for why you should not be able to vote. And so again, this is one of those no-brainers, right? They should just be able to come out and vote.
Well, with this Proposition 18, they voted against letting 17-year-olds vote in the primary or special election, but we'll send you off the war though. But they can't vote.
So I don't like that because I do have a 17-year-old in my house and I'm trying to practice for her to know about legislative, assembly, Senate, all the different change of command of government. My daughter, this is her third campaign that she's ran, Alan Warren, Greg Jefferson, and now Sean Lalole. But she was so disheartening. She put a post up today and said why, her importance of voting. And she said, Mom, I think that's so disheartening and it's so sad that we're starting to walk into adulthood, but I get forfeited or I get blocked. So I can't even see the things that they're saying, oh, you're transparent, but you can't vote at 17. I can read and write and understand measures. I can understand this. Why can't I say and cast my ballot? Because we're the next generation that's pushed up to the top, that's going to be the leaders, and we can't even vote. I have to wait now. That's another no-brainer. That's what we want to start putting into place so they can start practicing these behaviors and practicing positive to start learning how to get to the polling places and start to vote and get into the habit of voting. Now, my son's different. He just look at, I don't want to vote. That's crazy. But you have to start training your children to get to the polls. It's fine to hoorah, to picket signs and all that, but if you don't get to the polls, you just won't be heard.
Yeah, what I think we're seeing on a national level too, I mean, this just reminds me of all the young people who were super pumped about Bernie and couldn't vote in the primary for their chosen candidate. And then now they're like, okay, well, we didn't get to have our voice heard. So now we have Biden, and now we do get to vote because we're 18 in time for the general election, but they're feeling disenfranchised because they didn't have a say in who the nominee for their party was, even though they are old enough to vote when it comes. So once again, I'm super surprised that this didn't pass. It felt like, to me, like no big deal. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be 18 in time for the general election. Why wouldn't they get a say in who's part of the general election?
This also felt like I'm gonna give as prisoners the right to vote, but I'm not gonna give too many of y'all because y'all may take this. There's always a way I'm gonna give you something, but I'm not gonna do right because 17-year-olds should be able to vote. I mean, come on. But that would be like giving us too much power over control, over the right to vote in a real way.
But you want to charge them as an adult and they're 17, but you want to give them charges that they're an adult and give them an adult life, but you don't want to start that. It's just such of a backward system that you want to charge them as an adult, but you don't want to be a good, productive citizen to go vote. That's beyond me. Okay.
That's crazy. I absolutely agree with you, sis.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And you notice, but they can buy a vape pen, right? So
Right.
it's hilarious.
They can buy. That's
so
true.
so here's
They
what
can buy
happens.
a
You
vape
notice
pen.
that
You're absolutely correct.
they can buy a vape pen. They can buy a vape pen. But what's ironic is what's funny is you notice that for America to keep things status quo, they have to control processes, right? They have to control the process. They have to control the information. So if you notice the protests that went on, it was a lot of youth there. What happens now is this youth, what I love about this youth is their fight is human rights over civil rights. That's what I love about this generation. They're human rights over civil rights. So all these civil rights processes that they want to put people through, and then you can only vote if this and that and other. See, this younger generation, they got access to information. And what they're seeing is televised. So they're making choices based on, information that they're getting to see. And I think, to be honest with you, on a cultural spectrum, their favorite everything is black now. So, they're going to vote in a different way than their mothers and fathers and grandfathers might have voted. And so they want to make sure that they have indoctrination time before they do get to cast their first vote. And that's why it just doesn't make any sense. You take class, you take government, you take civics. Well, we used to. I don't know if they do anymore. But you're prepared to vote at 16 to 17. A kid like me, I grew up in a political household. I was ready to vote at 13. You know what I'm saying? So why are we squelching the voice of the youth, which is the future, and not allowing them to vote? It just don't make sense.
Well, you're absolutely right. But I just got to be honest. Every generation says that about the next generation. I could take it back to 1962 and somebody would say, these young people today ain't having it. But our enemy is so skilled. They know how to get the ear of your people, because also the attention span is short. I work with a lot of young people. Some of them are completely on the ball, and some of them feel very isolated. Like they feel like some of their young people aren't engaged in that way, the way that they're being engaged. And I said, you know what? I feel like that. And I'm an older person. If I'm not talking about reality TV shows and some nonsense, some people my age, we ain't got much to talk about because I don't watch stuff like that. So I just feel like we have to figure out how to make sure we don't allow people to divide us from our young people, because that is a strategy they've been using since we've been here. When in other cultures, you do not divide old from young, because that's why the American system is still here over 400 years doing the same oppressive thing they did when they first landed on here, when the Native people were here. So it's kind of like, I think we got to up our game a little bit so our children would have that, not the information that somebody put up on YouTube that probably is not correct. Not somebody giving you a generic history and you don't even know that they do that every generation. They give us like a generic story of who we supposed to be. And I just feel like it's going to take a lot of studying for us to really get that, and for our young people to get it. Because the same game they running, it ain't new. This is the game they've been running since they've been here. We go through the same dance, which I think young people are brilliant, but I watch them almost have identical struggles in each generation where it's almost the same, because that's how the powers that be get to still be 400 years later, and we still got two old white men fighting over the presidency. That's embarrassing.
True.
Two old white men, one don't remember his damn name, and the other one is just rude as hell. It's like the two people, that the two old white men you see on the Muppets up in the balcony. That's these two right here. These two. So it's kind of like, I tell young people, I say, y'all, all I can do is give you a download, but I'm gonna need you to up that download. Like, take it a little bit further. Maybe I'm on the 30-yard line. I'm gonna need you to get it further down the field. But you won't get further down the field unless you know what happened the first 30 yards. Because they're going to keep using what they've been using all the yards on us. And I think young people, much as they're brilliant, we got to make sure we stay connected to them, because their opposition are protecting their youth, are using their youth to keep this country going in a direction that has been going forever. So I think they should have the right to vote. And so we can't really get in this soapbox about, what all young people, no, all young people, some young people's on the ball. I know some. And then some of them ain't on the ball. Yeah. But some adults are like that. There's some adults on the ball, and there's some adults is like, oh my God. Like, dude, you're 50. You ain't learned shit. So it really depends on, you know what I mean? I just felt like when I seen it, I said, this is crazy. We're just not going to let these people, the young people, have the right to vote. Are you serious? I mean, how is that going to cost us anything?
Nothing. But once again, we have an unbalanced system.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You want to, like you said, a lot of they want to give a little bit, then they want to take a whole lot.
Right on.
You
That's
want to
how
sit
I
on the
see that.
TV forever as an adult, throw them in a cage where all these older grown people are, but you want to govern them where they have to still be in the bird's nest with their parents because you don't want their voice to be heard. So you're gonna put masking tape over their mouth and say, wait 11 more months, and then that's
Yeah,
it. That's
what's 11 more months? What's 11 more months? I mean, come on. Oh my God. What about this Proposition 19, the property tax ruling? That rule, yes, got something to do with money moving from one district or something to another. So you know they're going
Yeah, so it's
get on that.
this is it's another rich person's initiative. I mean, proposition, excuse me.
Mhm.
And so it's basically trying to add protections for people over 55 who want to or kind of forced to move. They can take their same property tax over to the new house, right? And it also has protection for wildfires. So for people who are in wildfires, they can kind of, in other words, you quite possibly might have to move. And so they're saying the older people shouldn't have to pay that new property tax. They should be able to keep their old property tax under the old house that they bought.
Yeah,
So
I get that.
yeah.
Okay, what
So
about
once again, that's a sign of slavery and taking control. Because if they bought a house at this age demographic, there's no way that they're going to be able to afford based on their income. Social Security isn't getting raised. Retirement is not getting raised. You're going to put them in a position where you're going to put them on the street and they're going to die.
Wow.
I'm just a bit confused on this. It's just, once again, divide and conquer.
Right on, right on. So what about Proposition 20? Restricts parole for non-violent offenders, authorized felony sentences for certain offenses currently treated. So I guess they measure if you're violent, non-violent or not. And this did not pass. It looks like it's not going to pass. That's some large digits right there.
So
I mean, is this the cash, take away the cash bailout system or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's another one. That's I think that's 22.
Okay.
Is that 22?
We'll find out.
That's 25 actually.
Okay, we'll get there.
It's 25.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
not the cash one. Okay. So non-offenders, like they just can't. So you do something that's
This is a weird.
jail.
This is a weird one. I don't know if you guys heard about this is the one where they were saying that this will allow for statutory rape, like older people could talk to younger people, you know, usually it's a charge for that. And this law would, I don't want to say it would allow it, but it would, this is what people were saying. This is the opposition were saying. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird the way it is. You can add crimes to a list of crime, and you can collect DNA, and that's where people were having their differences at, because this would be a crime where, you know, you could collect DNA on, say, just minor offenses or whatever, you know, and so people were. That's why I'm surprised about this one too. You know.
I don't know. This is so deep.
And then people have problems with. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say this was the one, and I don't remember exactly, but where it's like with this, like the statutory rape rules, that if it was like sodomy or something like that, that it kind of evened it out, because I guess it was stronger punishment for people who were like, you know, practicing like LGBTQ sex, right? Or it made it worse. I don't remember. I just remember there was something with the LGBTQ community that had to deal with this one, because it just changed like rules about what constituted sex, because it wasn't just like intercourse, but
yeah, I think you just explained why some people probably just voted no. I think we got to figure out how to make shit so simple. When you start getting on, I'll be like, I was always taught if you're unsure about something, vote no. That's what I was taught. If you really it's conflicted and you don't understand it, just vote no. Like, yeah. So I with that, but I was kind of, and then who knows what's non-violent? Like, because rape is very violent, or this, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna leave that alone. We talked about the expansion of local government authority to impact rent control on residents' property. That did not pass. So I think we talked about that earlier.
All your developers.
Yeah.
All your developers.
Prop 22. This is the transportation delivery companies for providing employee benefits to certain drivers. That passed. Now I was a little confused on this. I thought was this does make them employees, or do they still get to be independent contractors? Like,
yeah. So the state was trying to make app-based drivers employees, right? Because if you think about it, then they fall under all the taxation that state employees fall under, right? So these big companies, Uber, Lyft, they'll be on the hook to pay, for vacation time and sick leave and retirement and things. And the independent contractors, which the independent contractors fear Uber and Lyft would just leave, right? They would just leave. I mean, we already pay the highest state tax in the country, California. And so the independent contractors voted yes to stay independent contractors, because what it also does is it allows them to work at their leisure, right? To work when they can and when they want to, or whatever it is, without the restraints. And so that's what that's about.
Okay. So the drivers got what they want. They get to get a little bit of benefits, but they don't have to be employees.
Right. And then it'd be too much of a headache trying to convert all those people over, and it got too crazy. So don't reinvent the wheel.
Right on. And let people make their contractors.
That one I kind of actually went back and forth on, because on one hand, I feel like there's other jobs that are independent contractors as well, and it could be a slippery slope, like I do events, where I work events, and it's independent contractor thing. So I was concerned about that. But also, I did feel kind of gross about how much money Uber and Lyft and that they were pouring into this, when really there are some protections that are needed by the drivers. And that, yes, I get it. There's this idea that driving for Uber and Lyft is like a little side gig, extra money, but we know that that's not true, and that this really is their full-time job and they don't have protections. So I kind of I saw both sides. I struggled with this one.
I do know some people that drive in Uber and Lyft saved their life. I mean, they had lost their job. And I mean, I've heard, because I talk to the Lyft drivers or Uber drivers when I get in there from the airport, whatever, and they're kind of, how do you get started? For some people, it's like they couldn't find a job, but they had their car. And so, it's kind of like, see, I'm from Philadelphia. We call them hack shacks. So when you go shopping and you don't have a car and you find all your groceries, that's what we call the East Coast. Are you familiar with the hack shacks? Because I used to catch them in Baltimore and Philly. People use their own car and they get rides home and you pay them a little something. That's back in the day, though. In the 90s and in the 70s and stuff. I don't know about now getting somebody damn car. I don't know. I'm not doing that. But back in the day, we used to do that. I'm being serious.
I lived in DC. DC used to be cracking,
Yeah. That's why I started laughing. Okay, Prop 23, the establishment of state requirements for kidney dialysis clinics require on-site medical personnel. This was a no. Now, I did see some commercials don't let me die, don't let me die, don't let them close my clinic. So then I see some commercial where it was rats in the place. So I was like, oh man, what the hell? I felt conflicted when I was voting on this. Like, I do want them to have a clean clinic, but I don't want the person to die.
Right.
That's not.
I mean, with this one, I just felt like, and I don't know too much about it, but it just felt like they're saying, okay, the clinics are going to shut down if they have to have a doctor there or, a certified medical professional. First of all, I had no idea I would just assume that they would. But the fact they're saying, oh, they'll shut down if they don't, it felt like a scare tactic and kind of bullying to me. Like, oh, well, if we have to make sure these are clean and safe, we're just going to shut them down. Like, I just don't like that.
I didn't like seeing that old black man be like, I'ma die if y'all close this clinic. So I was like, oh, we can't let Uncle Bro.
I'm not laughing. I'm just saying.
I was like, oh no, because it's dialysis centers everywhere.
I don't know.
You just gonna say Michael?
I don't know. I think the two things for me for a lot.
Sorry.
I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at the commercial.
Yeah, the commercial.
I'm laughing at the way you did the commercial.
I was like, we can't do y'all tripping.
Y'all is a mess.
Rolando, I was like, where that brother at right now, man? I need to go, man. Hold on, man. Let me go get this.
We gotta go make sure his clinic is open. Don't get it twisted, you know.
Yeah, but there were two things for me. There was two things for me with this, which is, as Jeannie said, it was the requirement of an on-site physician, right? Because what happens is these, and I'm not laughing, but these dialysis centers, you'll have just a set of phlebotomists in there, right? Just taking blood and, you know, send it to a lab, they take tests. Also, what happened too is that you would have had to get permission from the state health department to close these clinics, right? So the state health department would have had to get research on who you serve, how you're serving them, and what need is there before you shut the clinic down. That was the big thing for me. Now, with the way things are now, they just shut it down. They just be like, yo, look, we up out of here, and shut it down. And I think that's the dangerous part, because we won't get the accurate data on who's sick, who visited, and how sick, and what help they need. You know, and that's what I think, and that's the importance of having an on-site physician, right? So this an actual doctor can make a diagnosis, because you might need to go from that dialysis clinic to the hospital, you know. But this 23, I don't know. I don't know, you know.
That's a lot of people to go to the hospital. That was the other thing. It's like, can't they fix that? Like they do everything else. I mean, I think that it's kind of like why with COVID they had everybody shut in, so the hospital's not full of people with the COVID. They couldn't serve all those people. They really couldn't. You know, if they didn't have a way of, you know, trying to quarantine it. So that those dialysis, so we have, I think the other part, we have a lot of dialysis centers. I think we need to look at that. What's going on that we have so many in communities where there are people of color?
Yeah, we do. I just said, I was talking to you and I said dialysis center, and my watch, Siri found like 3, you know, on my watch. So I mean, it's a lot of dialysis centers, man.
Yeah, that's
too many. I don't know what we need to look into that.
Yeah, I just think that's something wrong. 24, this is the consumer protection privacy laws that passed. I think everybody into their privacy. We're gonna be like, I'm gonna all of my damn business. We selling my information. I even voted. I was like, I'm selling my stuff. I hate now when I talk in front of the smartphone, then I go to look at something, here the ad come. I'm like, y'all listening to me? I ain't even on the phone. You know,
maybe it's because I work in advertising, but I love that. I'm like, oh, look it. They follow me as I'm shopping at Rayleigh's, and now Rayleigh sent me all the coupons of what I've been buying. Thank you, Rayleigh. I love it. But
I'm like, I think I want to go to Hawaii, and they're like, trips to Hawaii. I'm like, whoa. You know?
It makes it so easy for you. You don't even have to research. They're giving it to you.
Right.
Hey, Jeannie, they be hitting me, Jeannie, all the time with Ramada Inn ads. I'm like, Ramada Inn? Like, what? Okay.
The worst is when you Google something really expensive just to see how much it costs, and then now you're getting all this stuff, and it's like, I'm not a rich person. I was just looking that up. Please stop sending me those ads.
Right.
So here's the last one. Prop 25 is the overturning of the 2018 law that replaces money bail system with system based on public safety risk. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah.
And that says the law did not pay. Give me your money. You try to cut off my money, all hell will break loose.
Yeah, this one really came to light when with the Stanford rapist, the swimmer. And his father's a millionaire. He's accused of raping multiple young ladies at Stanford, and he gets out. They bail him out. He's out, right? He stays out the whole time and, goes to court, but he's out. I think I'm not sure, but he might have even attended Stanford still. And you had an example of a brother, I think he was in Yuba City too, and he stole like $5 stuff out of a store, but he couldn't afford bail. I can't remember his name. I had his name at one point in time, but he couldn't afford bail on the $5 theft. And they kept pushing his court date back, and he ended up staying like a year and a half in jail until they could. So it's more of, instead of us being able to put money bail, they want to be able to now take a risk assessment, right? And say, okay, it ain't just about we need to take a risk assessment. Like, how do you really need to be on the streets based on what you did, as opposed to if you have the money to get out.
Right.
Yeah, that was interesting because it's hard because we can't trust the system that this risk assessment is going to be just evenly distributed. But I just hate cash bail. Like the idea of, I don't have money, so I'm stuck in jail. And like you said, that guy who did nothing, and then people who are dangerous, but they have money. So I hate cash bail, but also I'm unsure about how this risk assessment would go if it's just left in the hands of a judge making that call.
Yep.
Right. Wow. Injustice for sure.
True.
Okay, so the last two things we're going to talk about tonight is these two races for city council for City of Sacramento. District 2 and District 8. Let's look at District 2. So I had the honor last year to interviewing these two men, Sean Lolo-Lee and Alan Warren, and the woman that was running. Their sister name, please help me out.
Ramona Landero.
Ramona.
Yes. So it was awesome interviewing them all. But then it came down to Sean and Alan. So, sister, this is your district. What happened? I thought Alan had it in the bag. Everybody was doing videos. I didn't see a lot of stuff for Sean Lolo-Lee, but that is going to show you people could have like a machine behind it and still lose if the people stand up. So what happened here, sis?
Well, Meg Whitman spent $1.2 million and she lost. So it's not about money. It's about the rebuild of our community, the restructure of it, and also it's damage control right now. People laugh all the time because the neighborhood calls Sandy shitty. And what they mean by that is she didn't go either way. She stayed neutral when it came to different problems or concerns in the community versus the administration that's there now. He just basically made us swallow or drink the stupid juice. And once we all digested it, he blew up and became a whole other person with all the gentrification and all the cannabis and all the real estate and things that were implemented in City Hall that had rules. They began to get broken. Barriers start going haywire. And Sean came in the middle of a crisis, and he did the number one thing that nobody will ever forget. He fed the people nutrient food. He opened up a grocery store in the middle of a food desert. That immediately opened up the broad demographics in our community because they were eating unhealthy and rotten foods out of the district.
Wow.
So Sean came in with his own money, no help from the city. I believe Alan sent the city code enforcement to both stores about 19 times to block family and children getting service for food. And that was inhumane. So Sean took it upon himself and he threw his hat in the race. And when he threw his hat in the race, he did one thing that was never going to be forgotten. He knocked on 26,000 doors. And he showed the voters the history, showed them where we lost, gave us knowledge about where we should be, and how far behind we are now.
Mm,
He talked about budget,
mm,
money, infrastructure, gentrification. He's just knowledged us and gained us, which we already knew a lot. We just didn't know how in depth this thing really was. And the proof is in the pudding because the voters have spoken. For you to be a two-time incumbent at the general, excuse me, at the primary, you got 38%. For you to be a two-time incumbent, that was pitiful.
Wow.
And Sean came in and he did the work. He has fed the kids, families all through this pandemic, not on FEMA money, not on nothing, on the back end of his own store.
mm,
He's just been doing the work.
mm.
He's got the black, brown, white, Indian, blue, black, deaf and blind community associations to come together, which we haven't did in over 10 years. He's brought all of that together, and we all work together to push him to victory.
So I have to ask you this.
Wow.
Did you, because I know you worked with Councilman Warren. What was that like, you being on the other side with someone else, for one? And two, let's be honest, when you're a black person and you don't go for the black candidate, you know, some black people getting their feelings like, ha, you don't know the struggle. Or what, you'd be like, dude, what color you think I am? How did you deal with that, sis?
Well, I got a lot of pushback, which I didn't care because my family, I think Benjamin has said the thing is in politics. I didn't care about the pushback because I was standing on truth. And the truth will stand and a lie will die. And the lie died because Sean's the new councilman. So with that being said, I was disheartened and I was let down because Alan was my first campaign, because you have to remember, I'm from both sides of the track, the underworld and the new world, which the new world is, for me, politics. The underworld is from the street. So I got book knowledge, but I also have street knowledge. And when I look at the streets, I didn't let people disrespect me or my friends or my my family on the streets. Now I'm taking that same energy in the political world. I'm not gonna care if you black men, you're not gonna bleed my family out, and then you're gonna sit back and laugh at us because you came in and got a quick get rich scheme, bought more real estate, and now we're here to try to pick our lives and face up. And my community is left in despair. And you know, I don't care about a black man. The black man was a Republican. The black man tricked us. And the same thing that's making him smile at one point is the same thing right now that's got him crying. Wow. Because it's probably flames coming from City Hall right now of all the bad deals, backdoor deals, all the money you've taken. It's over now. And the community has spoken, and it's so disheartening because I was on the other side. But guess what? I'm on the right side now.
Right on. Right.
What about this? This is interesting because, this is interesting because I'm here in District 5, so I'm not really kind of locked in the District 2 or District 8 like that. So this is interesting. It's interesting.
But you know, Michael, what bothered me so much more as I learned more as this went on, that leaders in leadership shows accountability, transparency, but your following is led by a great leader. But the leader has fell short. And what I mean by that, Black people does not get power like that every single day. And for you to have that magnitude of power, not only did you self-gain yourself, you hurt seniors and children. Seniors are wisdom and babies can't fight for themselves. I got a real problem with that and a real issue with that because now you're going to move somebody that's been in their house 70 years, which one of the ladies in our community been there 70 years. She got dementia, didn't know about taxes, and she died because of health issues. She falls short because you're worried about bringing your friends from Dubai and India and whatever to come in a busload and gentrify the people. But the money was there through the Promise Zone money. go sit down and regroup and think that you are the devil on steroids. I just can't respect that at all. And you shouldn't have been doing any business from the die, and you are the developer. You're doing what Martha Stewart went to prison for. I'm confused. And you think I want to follow you to the corner? I don't want to follow you.
Wow. Well,
so I'm hurt right now, even more that the community is so broken. I don't even know how much healing this is going to really do. It may take longer than 8 years. We've had more deaths in our community in 8 years than when we had a white woman sitting on the die. But we're talking about leadership.
Wow, that's deep. Thank you for sharing that, sis. Because that's your district.
Yeah, that
you
was.
know what I mean? That's your district. Man. You've been there, and it's your community. This is your community.
We've lost everything. We don't have the necessities to even keep our community at a float. We didn't have food. We lost banks. We lost furniture stores. We've lost Walgreens, Rite Aid. This is where seniors get their medicine from. Are you kidding me? Our transportation is so inaccurate. It's not even up to par because you won't even work with the transportation system for the seniors because they don't use Uber and Lyft.
Wow.
And he was anti-Measure A and Measure C.
You know, you're down in Elk Grove talking about a damn hospital. We don't even have nothing here to sustain people to get high blood pressure pills. But you're down there working in a whole nother community where they have adequate stuff and we have nothing.
That is so true.
That's why I said, people talking about color. Color does not be seen by money. When we spend it, do they know if we're black or white or brown? No. But you do see the issues at hand right now in our community, and for it to be in such distress and you sleep good at night, that's a part of mental health for me. I mean, I didn't know you either, Alan. I don't know Sean, but what I do know, you're not him. And I'll take him for $250. I'm just saying.
Right. I got you.
You know, so it's just it's a sad situation, and I hope our community can get some new leadership that's there, and we can work together to try to pick up the pieces and mend our community together because it's dead right now.
Wow. Well, let's see. Anybody here in District 8? District 8. So how are you feeling about this District 8 race? So let me say this before you start.
I can't believe it's so close.
Let me say real quick. So with Sean Lolo E and Alan Warren, the difference in the votes is 807 people right now. He's got 807 people. I'm saying it like that in people's terms. That's big when your people come out like that. For District 8, the number between Les and Mai is 138 votes, and they're still counting.
Well, they haven't counted my votes yet. I haven't got my text yet that my votes are counted.
So what are you thinking about this race? This was a very heated race. Just to give a little history, when Mai ran the first time, it was a host of characters. There was the sister Daphne. There was the other minister, Ron Bell, who was quite a character. I went to some of the little debates, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was in a comedy skit. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the stuff he would say out of his mouth was like entertainment. And then it was Mai and Les. And so then, you know, Mai came really close to getting that 50%, but because she didn't, she had to do a runoff with Pastor Les. And I just feel like this was quite an interesting race. I think when you mix religion in with politics, usually you get the devil immediately. Because you cannot be righteous for real in politics. Like, I mean, I say righteous, like You know, if you can't fund your own stuff, or if you ain't weak, if you're too weak to stand up and fight for yourself, to talk for yourself, if you don't have a record of being in the community working, not just like at your own leisure, but in systems working, then, you know, it's a recipe for disaster, because you can't serve two masters. You just can't do it.
No way.
So I didn't really understand how a minister could run for office, but I mean, hey, yeah, you know. So what's your feeling on this race? Because it's been interesting. I seen the mailers that were sent out on both sides. I didn't know the man did not pay his garbage and water. I didn't know all that. I didn't know when you run for office, I mean, you're supposed to take care of your business. You know, because you're asking to take care of our business. So what's your thought on that, Janine?
Yeah, this one was super close. Like you said, the mailers were over the top. It was funny to watch it, like the last 3 weeks, go super negative all of a sudden. Like before it was just like, oh, vote for Les, vote for my, and then it was like, my ruined the schools and Les didn't pay his bills. Like it just went wild.
That mailer was funny to me. I didn't see it as racist. I thought it was, somebody said it was racist, and they were trying to explain to me, and I was like, if I don't see it as racist, then you can't convince me. I know history. He smiled on everything. He smiled on everything else.
My only thing when they said like that was a racist mailer, I was like, now if they would have like superimposed his head on like Creflo Dollar or something like that, that would have been racist.
Those
But just having a picture of him, I didn't think it was racist at all.
I didn't either. Black folks, we always stretching some shit out, don't we? The race card don't be worth shit. The race card don't be worth nothing.
I missed that. What was the
mailer?
What was the mailer? I missed that.
I didn't see that. Like Les's financial plan. You know, there was like 3 things, like spend less, but his was like spend more. Something like don't save money for a rainy day. Don't pay your debts. Like it was whoever came up with that particular mailer. They had to be an advertising company, because it was straight out of textbook. Like, oh, you want to get gut? Because they sent out 10 pieces of mail against mine. She only had 3.
Yeah, no, and his negative ads came out first against her. But I just felt like I
didn't
didn't
think it was racist. I was like, Negro.
Well, because what people were saying was, you know, it's just following on those stereotypes of like Black people not paying their bills. But I'm like, but if he didn't pay his bills, that I'm surprised.
Well, don't always get their money in full. Don't count me out.
He was going to pay it.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised it's this close. I don't really know Les Simmons at all. I definitely know Mai Vang better, so I was supporting her. I just really haven't seen like what he would do that's like different, or you know, to really push things forward. But I mean, I don't have anything like super negative to say. I don't know the man. So
you didn't feel some kind of kinship because he was a black, like he is a black man, and
the same way I didn't feel kinship with Alan Warren or Rick Jennings or whatever the dude is right now in my district. I don't know them.
Larry Card.
We be pulling that card out at the wrong damn time. That's why it don't be worth nothing. When we need to use that race card, it don't be worth nothing.
Well, I just want to jump in real quick about District 8 race. It's been as heated as District 2. Mine was more intense because it was 2 men running. That was a businessman, you know, whatever. But what I liked it more with my both candidates. My, for one, with her, and she has such a diverse life. She's friend. She has Black. She has young, old. Like I just seen her whole footage, because when the race for 2 started, I was managing Ramona Landeros, and Mai was very knowledgeable. She had already tested the water because she was working with Larry Carr. But one thing that was exceptionally well for me with her is children are so important, and education is so important. And for her to want to open up her widespread to move up to another position was very phenomenal. And I feel for me, I'm tired of Angelique being the only woman sitting at the die because she's twisted her tail and feeling like she's Queen Sheba. And I want to see another woman sit there at the die and make just as
Right on.
many decisions for children and families and really service the children and family. And she's had the best of both worlds because she's worked with Larry Carr in City Hall and she's now sitting on the school board. But that shows you her base because she has so many people that have walked and talked and endorsed and diligently and educated. And just because she's, I believe, Hmong,
Yeah.
her family came from a real struggle, just like us from our struggle. So she gets it. And she's young.
Yeah.
And she's not from corporate world. And she's not going to be invested.
Right on.
So
she's a Barbara Jordan fellow as well. Like for people who understand history for real, if you know anything about Barbara Jordan, she worked for Senator Eleanor Holmes. Like she's been in some stuff that black folks ain't even been in. That like to pull that black card. So she's just don't have people that's friends. She understands their history and culture. See, some of us know each other because we both black, but we don't know nothing about each other historically, you know. But we want to pull that card out. We think it's gonna get you some points, but you may not even be for me, and you look just like me.
You never do. And then with Les, I really, I don't really know Les per se. But one thing I can always say with people, when you feed people, they always come like flies. I respect his on that feeding the families and servicing them. That's great. I respect him in a pulpit level. I respect him in a religion type setting. But for me, I think you said this, you can't serve two masters. And that is a struggle in the Christianity world. If you're going to be in the politics, you got to put the pastoral down and be full-fledged in pastoral. You know, you can't do both because you're going to get big feedback from the black community with that because we're so heavy with our belief. And I don't want to see people that are feeding me spiritual food to be switching and wearing another hat in the political world. So that was a little bit of a concern to me. And I don't want to see corporate people sitting on the dock. And I feel that Les would be a corporate guy. I don't really know him, but I feel that he would be a corporate guy. But once again, he did something that took me back to Elijah Cummings and Martin Luther King when he went in handcuffs for the struggle for, I believe it was Clark. That was just a capture moment for that, and I had to respect him for that as well.
Right now, Michael. Before you talk, I just want to add, I had respect for him, but when I seen him taking dark money and not wanting people to have fair housing, all of that went out the window. Oh. You don't want for your brother what you want for yourself, and you know we have housing is an issue. He would not take a stand on the shelter. We have half of the people that's homeless in Sacramento are black women with children. That's a fact. I was at all those meetings. He would not take a position. So immediately I knew that the dude was like, I can't deal with people who don't have a position. Or if he really wanted to beat mine, he should like not have taken that dark money or changed his position on the rent control. So that was telling for me. So you can't be 1 minute getting arrested because everybody getting arrested. It's like Al Sharpton, everybody gets arrested. You know, it's more glorified. You ain't really wasn't in no Selman jail writing a letter. You know what I mean? Everybody. I had students to get arrested out there. I went to go pick up at what's that, Cal Expo. I picked up my students from out there. They called me, their mama ain't coming. I come. You know, so to me, I'm not okay. I'm not good with the photo ops. That don't mean shit to me. What means something is when you stand on some more, if you know inside of your religious belief that people deserve very basic right like food, clothing, and shelter. But if you don't want that for everybody else, but then you're going to act like you they rescuer, dude, you can't. You cannot take the devil's money. You know what I mean? You say you believe in God, but you need the power of the devil to win. I'm good.
I don't want that. I don't want that religion.
Yeah, I'm good. And it's not even the religion, it's the person's interpretation because he's hiding behind the religion. That's how I look at it. If you were really into this, if you're a preacher kid, then you tell them, I don't need that money. I can win this on my own. I'm gonna go knock on doors. I'm gonna do that. But when you take the money and now you mad at some ad that expose your business, but you smile on your own posters. I can't play it. How does that work in the street? When you're in the street, you know what I mean? How does that work, dude? If you are the right candidate for the job, you would have gotten this far on your own merit, not would have sent out 11 pieces of mail against mine. Like, why would you do that? And she up there trying to be like she's a good person, but she's leaning on her culture. See, it's not just about being of color. I relate to Mai because of her culture. I come from a culture like that. I'm a Black woman. I respect my elders, not because it's something that's how elders respect me. So there's more things. I have more cultural things in alignment with Mai than I do with Les. And we're both Black.
Yeah, I think it's always hard, and it's always going to be hard to have a separation of church and state, right? When you try to run for politics, like that's hard. That I don't see the two being able to. It's just tough, and so, yeah, I think that, and another thing too, and again, I know him, but I don't really know him like that. Is I never really seen a true platform. Like when I look to support someone, I never seen a platform. Like what are the changes you see need to be made? What, and I'm not talking about just surface issues. I'm talking about like what is the plan? And I know Mai has, because of her experience, Mai has a plan. She's planned, she's organized, I know she has what it takes to be diplomatic, you know what I'm saying, in certain situations. And the biggest thing for me with Mai is one of those people who, if she has an issue with our community, she come to us and say, hey, how do we best fix this? How do I go about addressing this? And I think that's the part that, I endorse her on, is that she's not scared to ask us what it is we need and how we can, and instead of making the decision for us. So that's why.
And that's what it should be about. Council roles and seats. You're the watchman. You're supposed to gather it, put it all together, come to the community, tell the community, look, Rolanda, Michael, we got something going on. We need to vote. We have something coming up. We need you guys all to be there. That's what the watchman does. You don't forfeit and push us as self, what I'm saying, the councilman, to make the decision based on your emotion. That's not how the system works. You have to come out to the community, talk to the people, say, look, we got some serious issues coming up. Michael, Janine, Rolanda, we need you to come there. I need you to get your picket sign, bring the community association, come and do it. When you start talking about that's when I need to be unseated and you need to walk away quiet. You're not a fit. You're not a fit. And I just believe that, like Michael just said, piggybacking on that, when people start making self-decisions and start making this about them, we have forgot about the call. And now at this point, you need to remove yourself, because we don't need self-made people in this on the die, because this serious issues is people's livelihoods, people's bread and butter, and you don't need to prematurely interfere with something that's gonna help the people. And don't get me wrong, Mai's not gonna do everything that District 8 gonna want, but it's gonna be for the greater good at the end. Same way with District 2. Sean's not gonna say yes to everything, but we're gonna see the greater good and the benefit of it once it all rolls out. And that's what this whole thing is about. Community, and all the community city councilmen are just a voice for us. That's it. You work for us. We don't work for you. Sorry.
Exactly. Yep.
Right on. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think his phone did a little dive move, but it's okay. We wrap it up. Thank y'all so much for short notice for agreeing to come and talk about these ballots and these elections. And somebody said, "What you gonna do the day after the election?" I was saying the same thing I was doing the day before the election. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna keep on doing what I do. So thank y'all so much. And y'all, thank you for rolling with us as we reflect on the election here in Sacramento. And I will see y'all on the other side. Peace, family. Hold on, ladies. Don't get off yet.